topic for you, which everyone in the community even also wanted to hear about. And that topic is Metaverse. Yes, everybody knows that Metaverse is right now the new hype all around social media. Everybody is talking about how Facebook converted to Meta and how Mark Zuckerberg has introduced the Metaverse. But what exactly is it and how does it work? For this, I have a very special guest with me, that is Abdul Sami Javed from Exord. He is the technical lead and also in the research department of Exord. So, hello, Sami.
Hello, Arham. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
No problem. I had specially invited you for this because I believe that you are the person who would know everything about the metaverse technically and business perspective as well.
Yeah, I try to actually.
Okay, so let's get started, all right?
Yeah, sure.
So, talking about the metaverse, discussing everything about it nowadays is just like talking about the internet in the early 90s. So, how do you see the metaverse? Is it just a fancy version of the gaming industry or it is the beginning of the new internet?
I think if you go out into internet, you can see mixed of opinions of exactly what metaverse is. So the definition of metaverse is very vague, and you can say the term metaverse is still evolving, and there are many different definitions associated to it. So yeah, let me just tell you how complex the word metaverse is. If you take this in a Web 2.0 world, uh, the word metaverse defines as a system of how we will be interacting with the technology, like we interacted with internet when it came out in 1990s. So basically, metaverse in the terms of Web 2.0 refers to some way we are going to interact with the technology in the near future. So it's basically what's it's defined. So it basically includes the efforts that are made by Facebook, that they rename themselves from Facebook to Meta. So the idea behind is to make, because it is a social networking platform. So they don't only want to make this a social networking platform; they want to take it a step ahead, and they actually wanted to build a virtual world of social networking. You can say a system where people can virtually interact and meet with the people. So the ideology is very different. Similarly, if we look at metaverse from a blockchain perspective, the things are completely different. There are so many different projects that call themselves metaverse, and most of them associate themselves with the virtual reality and having physical, or you can say not physical, virtual lands in a space. That space they call them that is the world of that metaverse. So we can see that the way metaverse is going to be in the future is basically a world where you will be interacting with it can be one, it can be multiple, with multiple worlds for different purposes. For example, for socializing, or for example going to attend some concerts, or maybe a business meetings in a Slack. Like recently we saw there was a popular post in LinkedIn, and this is the way the people are normally thinking about the metaverse.
So, don't you think that the it is like more escaping the reality, the real world, and going living more in the virtual world?
Um, yeah, you can say that. There's a fancy line I like to say, because when we talk about reality, sorry, metaverse is normally the people, they associate metaverse with virtual reality and augmented reality. So I like to call it as blurring the lines between virtuality and reality. So um, from a blockchain perspective, there are many companies, working on the VR interaction with the blockchain. So they are able to explore those worlds and attend concerts in from their home computers, and they are physically present at their home computers, but they are virtually present in a marshmallow concert, you can say. So you can say in a future, it can take some shape like this, that we are kind of really escaping the reality, because we are submitting ourselves to the technology that is going to come. And also, regarding the previous question you asked about gaming, so I think metaverse is a very big opportunity in the gaming industry. Talking about gaming, it's not specific to blockchain, it is general, because we know that there are so many people in the world. There are so many big communities. I think gaming industry is also one of the big industries in the world. So there are so many people. They actually their you can say expenses. They comes out from the gaming. So what they do is normally they stream their YouTube videos, or they stream their Twitch videos and gain commission on that, or similar to that. But the thing is, for example, if we say a big games that are highly addictive, and like for example, let's say we have PUBG or Fortnite, people spend hours and hours in those games, and they make live streams of that. So to make it as a source of income is one thing, and also incorporating the experience points to a currency is a different thing. So metaverse in terms of blockchain gaming is basically it is converting your experiences points and your level up you can say points into some the people playing the game. The attempt in metaverse gaming industry is basically in perspective of blockchain is basically they are incentivizing people to play more game in the metaverse, so their experience points and different perks of the games are actually tied to the real world economy. So they will be able to withdraw out their experience funds, transfer them to different people, have an asset, have an in-game asset which will be worth for a few thousands of dollars. And this thing is actually not possible in Web 2.0 world right now, because the economies of a game is not directly connected to the economy of the real world.
Okay. Okay. So big tech companies right now, like Google, Facebook, and many other, are ruling the internet, I would say, in some words. Like they are the kings right now. Whosoever thinks about searching something, they go just right to Google. If somebody wants to scroll social media, they would go right to Facebook. And every other social media app right now, like WhatsApp and Instagram, they're all owned by Meta or Facebook, you could say. So who do you think will own the metaverse? Because metaverse, as we speak, is the Web3, and in Web3 things are decentralized, and metaverse itself is owned by Mark Zuckerberg. That's what the memes right now tell, that it will be owned by Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. So basically, what we can say, the Mark Zuckerberg's version of metaverse is going to be owned by Mark Zuckerberg, right? So the Web3 mindset is basically having giving the control back to the users, right? So, for example, in this specific, there can exist multiple metaverses. One can exist in Web 2.0, where there is no concept of decentralization. It is just basically, as we said, a way of interacting with a different technology. In Web 3.0's attempts in changing the metaverse is completely different to what the big players in the market are doing. So in terms of Web 3.0, we really focus on the decentralization of the network, and our self custodian funds and different things. So I think that things are not catered in that Web 3, and that not that Web 3, not Web 2.0, but it is going to be. I think both of them are going to perform their own different. You can say they both are going to perform their own. They all they both are going to perform their own different roles. So in terms of Web 2.0, they might attempt in socializing more, but that does not actually require decentralization, so it might not be the best fit for it. And people saying that Web 3 is metaverse, no, it's basically wrong, because metaverse is kind of complex and it is not yet defined. So in terms of blockchain and Web 3.0, people building a community and having a general idea of metaverse in blockchain is going to be different than what it is in what Web 2.0.
Okay, so the metaverse, in the metaverse, the people who enter are basically using avatars, right? And as you said, that in the gaming industry, people will own the assets that they use to play in the game. So would they be called NFTs, or what would they be called? And how will the roles of NFTs be a part of the metaverse?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question, Aram. What we have seen in the past is basically we have seen NFTs, right? We have seen NFTs boom. We have seen CryptoKitties, and different. We have seen developer DAO, and there are so many different NFT projects out there. But those NFTs not yet have a specific use case in the blockchain space, so they are completely useless, I would say. So basically, the idea, if you counter argue me and say that we have bored at Yacht Club and the NFTs are worth it, so it's basically a subjective judgment of those NFTs, right? So for me, it's not worth it. For you, it might worth millions of dollars, right? So those NFTs don't really have a use case. So in this metaverse, in Web 3.2, what we can see, the NFTs are going to play a vital part. How? We already have some metaverse projects that are already working on providing virtual lands on blockchain. So if you're early and if you're lucky enough, you might be a millionaire in the future. I don't know. So NFTs, basically that land, how are you going to hold that land? So that land is basically going to be an NFT or a part of an NFT that you are going to hold, and it is going to represent your ownership of that particular land, right? So this is only one example. In metaverse, you are going to have concerts, right? We have seen this, and where Marshmallow was having his concert live on Fortnite. I think, I'm not sure where it is, but the tickets to those concerts is going to be an NFT, right? So if we say there are going to be multiple metaverses, most the different metaverses are going to have two things, right? One, address to represent you, that this is you, you're different from different people in actually in that metaverse. And then number two is basically going to be your avatar is basically your skin in the games, like how you represent yourself in this community of a game, in the game of, for example, let's say Fortnite or Minecraft. So many people, they buy different skins to look different, right? So this is also going to be a one use case. So this is a use case, but more important is going to be how you are actually going to get involved in buying and lending land and different stuff like this. And one more important aspect of metaverse in blockchain is going to be ads, right? So Facebook has its ads, and Facebook earns by showing us ads and different things. But in metaverse, there is going to be a placeholder, like you can say in Blocktopia. We also have one more metaverse. We have skyscrapers there, right? So if you tend to join that metaverse and you see at these long buildings, there are going to be a placeholder for ads. For example, if you're a big company, you can just place your ads there. So that is also going to be in terms of NFTs. So NFTs is actually going to play a vital role in terms of metaverse, where you are simply exploring the world, or it's a different world. In a different perspective, NFTs are also going to play a vital role in the gaming industry. How? Up till now, what we were doing is we were taking those NFTs that represented an ownership of some weapon, right? For example, I have a sword or anything. You might have heard of loots, right? The loot project that came in, and and the games that are going to be developed around blockchain are going to have a similar traits. So basically, if you hold a particular NFT, you're going to hold this particular gown and these particular gloves and all that. So for example, this is one thing which is going to represent your avatar in a gaming side of this thing, right? And for example, if you have an NFT, let's say you have a sword and you don't use the sword, what can happen in this metaverse gaming space? It is you can basically lend your sword to anyone who's actually playing that game and who's actually good at it, who's skillful at it. So he's going to use your sword, which is normally called as gaming guilds, right? So they're going to lend they're going to take your sword, they're going to lend it for a while, and they're going to play it with your sword, and they're going to return that sword to you, as well as some points or rewards that are associated with it. So it is also an economy that's being developed around games and metaverses.
Okay, that's quite interesting, I would say.
Yeah, because I've been seeing these things, and it's just the innovation in blockchain space in terms of metaverse, it's skyrocketing nowadays.
Okay, so discussing about different projects as well, we see that there is also projects like Decentraland and stuff, where people are also doing the same thing, buying digital assets and stuff. So, how do you think is that connected to the real world economy? Because when you're buying a piece of land in the metaverse and you're paying for it, that means you own it. So you have to pay government of the thing taxes to the government that of the things that you own, right? So how could that work? How do you see that working?
I think we can break this problem into two parts. Basically, we can look at the countries which are actually in the favor of blockchain, because there are so many countries in the world that don't accept blockchain as a mainstream. So if there are so many different companies that actually enable the trading of bitcoins and cryptocurrencies, right? So basically the problem is when you get your currency out of that ecosystem to the real world, right? So that's only where they're going to track your taxes and all that. So I'm not giving you an escape plan, but it is the way we can look at how things are going to look in the future. So basically, if the government supports this thing, so they might have some regulations towards it. Maybe they can develop to it. But if we look at as a whole, um, the landing, like as you mentioned in the decent line, I guess. So there is buying of land and selling of lands. So I think our government systems are not mature enough to cater these systems now. But if real estate in metaverse goes mainstream, somebody is going to do something about it.
Okay, so going towards more towards the metaverse, going more towards the social media, accepting more technology, it means that it's not only the software, but it's also the hardware that we're using. If you're in the metaverse, you have to wear the VR, you could say glasses or something, like Mark Zuckerberg had introduced the Oculus, I guess. So using these kind of things, don't you think that they could also become a health impact to the people?
They can, but if we look at ourselves currently, we use laptops and mobile phones every day, right? We use it non-stop. So that also has our health implications as well. So I think, yeah, this is going to play its part in destroying our health. I would not exactly say that, but yeah, it is going to impact us somehow. And also regarding if metaverse goes mainstream, the production of VR headsets and different things are also going to rise. Like when Bitcoin got famous early in 2014, and the mining GPUs got, the price shot up. So this impact is going to be there in terms of how metaverse, and also people see metaverse as some as a high technology that the people are going to access through a VR, right? A VR headset. So it's not compulsory to access a metaverse with a VR headset. There are metaverses that exist today that you can simply connect your wallet and get involved with the metaverses. So so definition of metaverse varies from place to place. It's not concrete.
Okay. So businesses nowadays and organizations are also intending to get in touch with the metaverse, use it somehow for their ease. So the Web3 companies, okay, you could say that yeah, they could use it at some place, but how would the Web2 companies use such a project?
This is really interesting because I would not exactly coin it as, or I'd say it is a metaverse exactly, but implications of VR technology, because VR is a major impactor of metaverse, right? So you can say big companies like, for example, let me name it, Amazon. We buy stuff at Amazon. We also buy our furniture. We have IKEA, where we buy furniture specifically. And you know how VR is going to help into that? Because that was really interesting article I was reading the other day. It was basically uh, you want to buy something for your house, right? In your physical house. So what do? We have this VR technology that, for example, there is a vase that you like, right? And you want to see how it looks like if you place it somewhere in your house, but you don't know how it's going to look like, but you because you don't have this physically. So they have developed this technology basically where you wear a VR, right? So when you wear that VR, the you can say it's going to be an augmented reality that you're going to enter. So basically, the product that you actually want to buy, you can actually place that in your house, and you can look at it live. If it looks good, then you can order. If you don't order it at all. So these kind of technologies are going to being developed actively and are being worked on to make it live stream and mainstream, because this is only one example of how we are going to interact with the VR technology and metaverse system. And connecting this with metaverse and specifically on blockchain, what you can do, you are going to buy lands in metaverses, right? So you are obviously going to use VRs for that. So for example, let's say I have a shop of because we know things exist as different NFTs, right? So 3Ds NFTs are also going to be exist in metaverse. So what you can do, you can wear those VR headsets, and since you are in your house, you can use the exact same principles and apply them in the Web3. So you can see how a certain fountain or certain vase is going to look like in my virtual world, and you can buy that too. So this is one example, and it can another thing is creating a virtual world. For example, let's say in organization and businesses, there are so many teams after COVID, the pandemic. We have seen so many different companies going work from home, right? And there are also many different companies in the world that where the employees are sitting in the different areas of the world that they have never met with each other, right? So metaverse is, you can say, it can become a place for those people to virtually meet and discuss ideas, like similar to Slack. Slack can go into a metaverse. For example, everybody in a Slack, like 200 to 300 people, can join in a call and give them their own avatars, and they can physically see and interact with them, because obviously you can move your hands and do different gestures in the metaverse as well. So yeah, this is, I think, how it's going to different the communication is going to increase more the way they're going to work.
Okay, so coming to an end, I would just like you to provide some of the insights, or no, insights won't be the right word, I guess. That you could say that how do you see the potential in the future, in the next, you could say 1 or 2 years, and then 5 to 10 years.
Mhm. About metaverse. So let's break it down into two parts again: Web 2 and Web 3.0. Web 2.0, there are companies investing heavily onto metaverses, gadgets, and these technologies. So I think in Web 2.0 worlds, we are already seeing some implications. We've already seen some impact that's been created. For example, the example I gave you for Facebook and Amazon, right? So this is actually being worked on, because since it does not need any decentralized infrastructure to work, right, and it does not have any economy tied to it, so we are going to see more results often from Web 2.0, because this is easily achievable in that sense. Coming to Web 3.0, web metaverse is still very mature. It is evolving. The definition is kind of changing. It's kind of a very complex concept, and everybody has the different implementation of this concept, really. One example is some metaverses call themselves that we are a blockchain, and some call themselves that we are an application. So there is a huge difference about what that specific metaverse is, right? So implications is basically we are at least not going to see anything live in metaverse in terms of blockchain for at least 2 years, because you can see and you can browse through different projects in the blockchain space that are actually working on working on metaverses, but they are not yet live yet. You can see Axie Infinity, which is live basically, but it's not one part of the game. I think it still needs to go live. We have Decentraland, but they are only offering the lands at the moment. You cannot go and visit that metaverse. And then we have Blocktopia. Blocktopia still is in you can say is in development. So basically, they are partnering with PS5 to actually render the metaverse entirely into a PlayStation 5 console. So they're still being developed, because the underlying technology needs to be developed. Because in Web 2.0 it's fairly simple. In Web 3.0 you actually need to connect to a blockchain, to a game or a metaverse. So that's kind of a completely different game.
Okay. There's even a Pakistani project by Norton Studios, Cloud City Metaverse. I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but I saw them on my LinkedIn profile and Twitter. And I don't know much about it, what they're offering and stuff, but it was interesting to see Pakistani companies also trying to get in this space.
Yeah, I've seen so many different people actually involved in blockchain, and they're trying to build their own protocols. It's kind of really great to see them. And I think one of the reasons is due to we started the Blockship program, so people actually got awareness through that. And yeah, I constantly get messages over how to do this and that. So it's kind of really um, fascinating to see Pakistanis coming up in this space too.
Okay, so Sami, thank you so much for being here with us today. We hope to see you again in another episode of a topic that interests you. So, thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Arham.
So, this was the podcast of Metaverse. And after this, there will be an announcement soon on my Twitter. I would like you all to follow me on my Twitter. My handle is in the description, and there is a surprise coming up. So, stay tuned, everybody.